Oh, it's you. Oh, and the chips have arrived.
Bây giờ mình tới giữa đèo rồi, bây giờ mình đứng lại không được. Cháu không đi tới thì cũng rung. Xong rồi cứ lại đi.
That's a little bit delayed, isn't
Cái xe rồi chứ mình nghe sao á. Nhìn cái lên thấy cái xe thôi, chả biết gì. Bay trong đề. Ông đảo cái xe để chẳng biết. Trên đèo. Chẳng tính đèo. Bây giờ được biết hồ thấy mấy chiếc cuốc. Vì ta chứ là phần quà nhiều hộ nào cái nào rồi không là đang đi như vậy hầu cái này lại không hỏi toan một cái không mà có lại cái thằng cái xe đó cái xe nó chưa có cái xe sau nó hết quá khăn một việc đi trang hai xe thì được mấy mét.
Hey there, how's it going? From a rainy, it's actually rainy at rainy Saigon. I hope you can hear me. It's a little bit noisy here. I'm on the corner of the Continental, at the Continental Hotel, on the corner of Dom Khoi, yeah, and Lam Son. So I'm sitting opposite the Opera House in the Caravel at the moment. Just there. So that's the original Caravel building, and of course that's the Opera House, and then that's sort of a bit more recent. I don't know when they did that one actually. So yeah, how's it going? Is it good? I hope it's good. It's actually quite cool here in Saigon. We just had a bit of a rain shower and we're just sitting out on the patio of the Continental. It's quite a nice change actually. It was very hot this afternoon. Let me just show you what we're looking at. G'day Rabbit, how's it going? Yeah, it is great to smell the rain in Saigon. A little bit early though, it doesn't usually come, right? Till about, April, May, especially May. A little bit early this year at the moment. Only a trickle though. Oh yeah, we just saw an accident before. A young lady got cut off and then she slid onto the road and it made a very loud noise. But busy today, a lot of tourists getting around that I noticed. Yeah, that's right, Rabbit. Near a May, but it's just a shower. Yeah, that's right. I'm not really sure what's going on with it, but it's been a funny year or two with the weather in Saigon. I might get up. Alright, hopefully the Wi-Fi doesn't cut out. Oh yeah, it's raining. So here you go. Here's some of the buses that we see around town. There's quite a few of these days, and these are the city hop-on, hop-off buses. And they're really cool. I think they're about 250,000 dom for a ticket. And it takes you around the city for about an hour or so. It's really good, except for when it rains, although obviously you can sit... Sorry about that, I've just dropped out. The Wi-Fi's just dropped. I think I'm back on. But recently they started a tour into Chinatown, which is good. I haven't done that before. Dom Koi Street, and there's the Caravel just there. Behind that, with the big Novak Djokovic ad there, that's the Sheraton Hotel. And further on is the Reverie, just there. And in that direction is the Saigon River. Yeah, Rabbit, that's right. Rain makes slippy, if not rain for weeks. It's actually quite heavy here at the moment. These buses here are really cool too. These are some little electric buses that get around town. And there's an app for those as well. I might put the app for those in the description of this video. Use the app and you can hail them, and they're quite cheap. Hey bees, good to see you. So bees, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Saigon, but I'm pretty much right in the centre of town. And we're here at the Continental Hotel. This is the Opera House, of course. This is the Caravel Hotel. And this is the Sheraton with the Novak Djokovic ad on it. The Reverie, which is a very high-end hotel. I don't really know what this particular building is here. And parked at the front there is a couple of those double-decker buses that are really cool. And if I just turn around a little bit, I'll show you a little bit of the Continental. But we're just sitting out the front here. And it's a good spot to come on a Sunday when it's not raining. And usually cars park out the front here, sort of classic cars, but today we haven't got any of those, unfortunately. That was part of the reason why I chose this actual spot. Now, I mentioned these red buses just before. The ticket box is just there. And here's another one of these electric buses that get around town, which are really cool. There you go. And they go into districts 1, 3, 5, and a little bit of district 4 as well. So it's not a bad little sort of touristy option as opposed to grab vehicles. Okay, bees, you haven't been to Saigon, only familiar by what I've watched on YouTube, but I do intend to visit this year. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, this is pretty much the dead centre of town. Win Hui Street is the next block over. If that bus wasn't there, we'd probably be able to see a little bit of Win Hui Street. But the hotel we're at here today, the Hotel Continental, it's the oldest hotel in Saigon. I think it was built in the late 1800s, and it's still here. It's had a couple of name changes, I think. And obviously the facade has been done up a bit. But if you're a reader and you know The Quiet American, Graham Greene, the author, he stayed up in, I think it's, I'm not sure if it's the top one here or the one just beneath it. Let me see if I can give you a better look of the hotel without dropping out. quite a nice old hotel, this one. So actually quite a few tourists here today, given that it's a Sunday. I suppose there's a few in town getting around, and a lot of guys like us who live here sort of come into town as well, because there's some good people watching to be had. And like I mentioned before, usually there's some old cars that are usually parked out the front here that we can have a look at. Actually, before I came online, there was a Vespa and a VW, which was pretty cool, but they left. Yeah, the Hotel Bees is quite nice. It's pretty old though. As I said, it's the oldest in Saigon, and it was opened around 1880. And I don't know, a little bit of useless history. Allegedly it was bought by a Corsican mafioso back in the 1930s. So believe it or not, there was a mafia presence here back in the day. A French connection, let's put it that way, back in the day. And I've stayed in this one here. This is the Graham Greene room, the author of The Quiet American, and allegedly he stayed there when he was writing his novel, allegedly. So guys, if you've got any questions, fire away. And if you want me to walk around a little bit, I can do that for you as well. But I can't really go too far because I'm a bit worried that the Wi-Fi will drop out here. I'm bumming off the Continental here. I'm using their Wi-Fi for this live today. I might go and sit back down. Oh, here's the Vespa. I don't know what year it is. So yeah, that's the ticket box there for the hop on bus. So if you ever come to Saigon, that's where you can get tickets. Obviously you can get them online as well. Now the Opera House, just here. These days they do shows, of course, there, but also back in the day, you know, a little bit of war history. Before 1975, it was also used as the, I guess you would call it the Parliament House or the Government House, where the where government would sit whenever they were in, I don't know what you call it, you know, sitting in Parliament. Bees. So is there anything special going on for the celebration? It's actually a good thing you raised that. The last few days we've had helicopters and jets flying overhead as they do their preparations or their rehearsals for the big occasion. They're going to do a massive parade on the morning of April 30, so I'm planning on doing a live stream on that day. I'm going to try and find a good spot to cover that on a live stream. And so yeah, so for the past few days we know that they're going to do some pretty exciting aerial displays. The other sort of quirky thing about Saigon is that it's a no-fly zone, so we never see helicopters or planes fly overhead here. The only ones are the ones that go out to the, you know, are coming into land at the airport, which is about, you know, maybe, I don't know what it would be away, 5 to 10 kilometres away maximum. But other than that, the place is a no-fly zone. So to see choppers and fighter jets flying over in formation the last few days has been pretty exciting. We don't really get anything too exciting like that here. And actually, just Friday it was. I was walking around in a sort of an alleyway out the back of District 7 somewhere, not too far from my house, but the helicopters and the jets went overhead, and one of the jets just roared past at fairly low altitude, and I'll tell you what, it was a buzz, and then it banked. It was amazing. You know, we just don't get to see these things. Obviously there's no air shows, all that sort of stuff, so it's a real novelty, and we're really looking forward to the morning of the 30th when the parade takes place, because there's going to be a lot of pomp and ceremony judging by the rehearsals that are going on. And I believe some of the streets, Les One Street, where the US embassy is, the French embassy is, and it also leads down to the Reunification Palace. They're starting to prepare for the big crowds that are going to be lining the streets there, and the parades and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's going to be heaps going on. Looking forward to it. 50 years, hey? Who can believe it? 50 years already. Rabbit, the practice jets freaked out locals in the coffee shop. Yeah, I think they freaked a lot of us out too, you know. But really cool to see. But it'll be great for anyone who's a war buff. If you're planning to come to Saigon around then, there might be a few little mishaps and delays in terms of getting around the city and stuff like that, but it's a really significant, I guess, milestone in the history of modern Vietnam. So it'll be really interesting to see what they come up with. Bees, I'm sure it'll bring in a lot of tourism also. The city will be packed, yeah, for sure, 100%. And a lot of the old sort of journos and anyone who was probably here during the war as well. I'm waiting for a lot of media to come out. What are we, March 30 already? So we're going to be April 1 in a couple of days. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the media that's going to come out soon. I'm expecting a barrage of things about the war. And if you're into the war, whether you're watching this now or later on, you might know this building here. This is a Caravel Hotel. This is the original. Sorry if my finger's covering the actual building, but this is the original building that's been renovated. Rooftop bar just up there. But this came along, the bigger part of the Caravel came along a fair bit later. I've got a feeling it may have been built in the 90s, this wing of the hotel, but I don't know if you can see it on the building, but it says it's 65 years old. So it was built just perhaps during the war, I guess. And that's where a lot of the journalists used to stay. And just over the top there, just peeking out over the top there is the Batexco Tower, which used to be the tallest building in Saigon before Landmark 81. So yeah, fire away with your questions, let me know, and if you're watching this after... Sorry, I've got a fairly large bus pulling in here. If you're watching this afterwards, after the live, and you've got a few questions about Vietnam or my life here or travelling here in Vietnam, let me know. Drop them in the comments section. I'll get back to you. I always get notified when someone comments or leaves a message, so be sure to do that. We've also had a fairly interesting week, a very interesting few days in this part of the world with the earthquake that happened in Myanmar, and also was pretty strongly felt in Thailand as well, with the building coming down over there. And some people reported that they felt the tremor here as well. I was here at the time, I didn't feel it. But apparently a lot of people in District 1 felt the tremor, and a lot of people were evacuated out of their office buildings and stuff like that. I have felt a tremor here before, but it was a long time ago. It was probably, 13, 14 years ago when there was an earthquake out in the sea, not too far from here, and I felt it where I was working, which was kind of weird. Rabbit, 300 reports of damage in Saigon high-rise. Okay, well that's quite a few. Hopefully, sorry about that. I just dropped out again. I got a little far away from the Wi-Fi. Bees, yeah, you saw that. Yep. Yeah, I've got some friends living in Bangkok, and a few minutes after the earthquake happened, he messaged me and said they were out on the street because they just had an earthquake. I'd never heard of one in Bangkok before, so hopefully that's the last one. But I've been to Myanmar. I went to Myanmar a little bit before the pandemic, I think it was. I went to Yangon, even though the epicenter of the earthquake was in Mandalay this time, I think. Yangon, I think, is a little bit further south of Mandalay. Beautiful city, lovely people, great food, very multicultural. There's a large community of people with Indian background, so there's a lot of sort of Indian style food mixed in with local Burmese food. And it's quite interesting because, living in Saigon, this is obviously an old French colonial town. It was quite interesting to go to another colonial town that was British. So that was a little bit of a different vibe. As well. A shame what's happened there. I don't know how Yangon is at the moment, but if you ever get a chance to go, Yangon, beautiful. Great food too, great food, friendly people, all the same sort of stuff, I mean, if you sort of listen to media over the years, you start to think, I would never go to these places, but Myanmar was a real eye-opener for me. Beautiful, very interesting. If you're into architecture, into food, into different cultures, in Myanmar, because we got that little window in between when things opened up and then closed back down again. So, yeah. Bees. I'm all about food, Matt. I go where my nose takes me. Okay, well, you love Saigon. And come to think of it, Rabbit, if you're around at some point this week, I'm catching up with Vu and Daz. Usually they're in the live stream. I think Daz is in Saigon as we speak, and Vu may be on a plane as we speak, and we're catching up on Tuesday. So that goes for anyone in Saigon watching this. This Tuesday coming, April 1st, we're going to catch up for lunch. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll let you know where we're going to go. And Vu he's got his heart set on getting a Grab jacket, of all things. Grab, what do you call it? Ride hailing service here. They have jackets and helmets and all that sort of stuff. So he's very keen to get one of those as a memento of his trip to Vietnam. So we're gonna go for lunch, and then I'm gonna take him and Daz for a little bit of a walk around town to show them sort of some interesting areas around town, and then we're gonna find his green jacket that he's looking for, his Grab jacket. So yeah. Nathan, hey Matt. Okay, Nathan, okay. How you going? Yeah, you sent a heap of questions a day after the live stream, but I've got, you sent them to, sorry, I didn't see those. I'm not too sure where you sent them. Otherwise, I would have replied. Sorry about that. But you can fire away now if you like. You can ask a few questions for sure. It's April 1st. It's in McDonald's. Haven't had McDonald's for a while. I'm trying to lose weight. Don't remind me. Bees, yeah, I think the grab jackets are going to become a trend. Yeah, I think they already are a trend. I think people go around looking for helmets and jackets. They've got hoodies and all sorts of stuff. I'm kind of surprised that Grab still lets it happen. I don't know, you know, because there are actually fake Grab drivers around as well that you got to look out for. Sorry. I'm standing under a tree here looking like a hobo, and this guy nearly ran me over, but that's okay. And now we're going to get a big van here covering the view. Okay, Nathan, no worries. You can start asking them in the chat if you like. Okay, here we go. Is there much of a jump in airfare prices if you book them only a couple of days before you want to fly domestic around Vietnam? Or is it best to book well in advance? Oh. Hang on, I've got a bus. Hang on. Let me just get somewhere safe so I know. Nathan, I would say that you would be better off booking before you a fair way in advance with domestic airs, and especially given that Vietnamese websites, particularly airline websites, are clunky, and you can never really be quite sure whether you've actually purchased the ticket or not. I was saying to someone the other day who was in the live stream a couple of weeks ago. See you, mate. Take care. Good to see you. An old friend. With booking tickets domestically for her trip when she comes here, and she was having trouble. She was using PayPal. I don't know if PayPal was the problem or not, but she was having all these problems with it. And I said, well, if she had the opportunity, if she was coming to Vietnam for a fair amount of time, it might have been better for her to come here and then go to a ticket office, an actual physical ticket office. So if you want to travel with Vietnam Airlines, it might be worth giving it a go that, you go to one of these offices and they have competitive prices. They can also hold your ticket for up to a week, I believe. So that might be an option. I don't know how long you're coming for, Nathan, and how long you're going to be in the country. So, but my feeling would be to have the tickets booked. Who are you flying with? Or who do you think you're going to be flying with? Oh, Mel. Okay. The Vintage Car Club guys at the next table and the members are off today. Come run and then Muinair tomorrow. Okay, I see. So Nathan, I hope that answers your question. I think just given the nature of websites here in Vietnam, if you're going to book through those, I think I would prefer to have everything sorted while you're here. Everything's sorted before you come here. if you can possibly do that. I don't think you're going to make that many savings, to be honest, but in terms of stress, anxiety and hassle, yeah, it might be worth making sure you've got the tickets in hand before you come. Bees, so would you ever use Skyscanner for these flights, Matt? Actually, Mel usually books my tickets, but yeah, people do use Skyscanner, apparently. Yeah, so it could be another option. But given that we live in Saigon, in Vietnam already, Mel has started, as I mentioned, going to the ticket office because it's not inconvenient at all, and there's still a strong tradition here of people wanting to pay cash and wanting to purchase things face to face. So it's not uncommon for the locals to have a preferred ticket office that they deal with. They make a phone call, they book the ticket's held for them for a week, and then the person either goes in and pays, or they'll get a courier. These days, you know, it's quite common to get a courier to pay for things. So down in this, oops, sorry, I've just cut out, not too far up the road is Notre Dame Cathedral, so that's up in that direction there. This is really a high-end department store just here for all your, you know, luxury stuff. There's also a Mandarin Oriental hotel supposedly opening up here too soon. Well, it's been on the books for a long time, but they haven't been able to get it open for whatever reason. Far away. Hopefully I answered that one okay for you and that's helpful. There's another one of those electric buses. As I mentioned earlier, I'll just leave a link in the description for those buses. And I recommend taking one of these buses as well, one of these hop-on, hop-off buses. You can book them online, or you can, if you're in this part of the city, you can just go over to the ticket, that's the ticket box there. Nathan, if you had to recommend something everyone must do see, what would it be? Not just eat the food, hang out with the locals. Well, there's one thing that I really want to do, and I haven't done it yet because it's super expensive, and there's actually a waiting list to do it, and that's to visit Sondung Cave. It's the biggest cave complex in the world, so if you have the time and you have a little bit of money to spend, and if you've got a bit of time before you come here, maybe you could make a booking to do that. Look that up, Sondung Cave System. It's sort of north central Vietnam, sort of above Hue and sort of in between Hue and Hanoi. I haven't actually done it, but I've wanted to do it, and I've spoken to people who have done it, and you can actually spend a number of days inside the cave camping as well. That would be one. Another one that's cheaper but in a similar area is Ninh Bình. You might want to check that out as well, which is south of Hanoi. and it's kind of, they sort of describe it as the Halong Bay of the area. There's actually, Halong Bay has the limestone casts that come out of the water, whereas Ninh doesn't really have the water, doesn't have the ocean. It has rivers in it, but it's very beautiful as well, so that'd be a must. I recommend Hoi An, which is in central Vietnam near Da Nang. So you fly into Da Nang to get Hoi An, and it's they call it an ancient town, but it's over touristed. If you're not into places that have a lot of tourists, which I don't know if anyone is, but I think they go there because it's quite easy to get there, and you know, it is beautiful. That might be a place for you to check out as well. It just depends on how much time you've got. Beach-wise, Da Nang, all that sort of area is beautiful as well. And further south into Nha Trang and Phan Rang. They're sort of off the tourist trail a bit more. Places like Phan Rang, and they're sensational. They're beautiful, rocky sort of mountains that butt up near the sea. So yeah. I actually love the Mekong as well. I love the Mekong for the people, the food, and the history. But it's a little bit more, the Mekong is more for people who have more time and are prepared to rough it, because it gets very hot, sweaty, wet. The infrastructure is not that well set up for tourism. I hope that answers your question as well, Nathan. Bees, a ticket office that's definitely a thing of the past here. I love Vietnam for this, and the fact that they use cash also. Yeah, still a lot of cash, but also a lot of, what do you call it, sort of, you know, online payments with your phone. There are apps here that are very common, and it's not unusual to see the young kids paying with their phone, not necessarily at street food places, but at places that are like, you know, like a pho place, for example. Sometimes at vendors. Sometimes vendors will have a QR code, and they have like a Momo account or whatever the other one is that they use. So the kids will come in, no cash, and just pay with their phone. So Vietnam has become quite techy in that regard. But yeah, as you say, bees, still plenty of sort of bricks and mortar ticket offices. That's the Texaco Tower. Just sorry about that. Just over there. Oh, okay. I can come and sit down now. The cars have gone. There's Mel.
That's the vintage car club.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Mẹ là mình phải từ xa mình đã phải canh rồi, chứ mình tới nó mình phải canh gì nữa.
No worries, Nathan. I hope that helps. Yeah, just hit me up. Hit me up anytime. That's okay. I'm happy to give advice, because it can be challenging. It can be a very challenging country to travel in. I hope you guys can hear me as well. I'm just sitting next to the car club, and I think Maxwell Smart has just turned up. Bees. Vietnam is such a beautiful country. I've been travelling it virtually for the past year until I'm able to visit. Cool. Have you got your plans in place, Bees? Keep me up to date.
Thủ Tướng chưa mà hôm nay mà hỏi tới thì không được.
Huang Le Min, are you trying to be Graham Greene sitting in that cafe? No, I don't think I could ever be like him.
You slept in his room.
I have slept in his room. I've slept in his room, allegedly. Allegedly, it's his room, but I don't think it was his bed. And I didn't really channel Graham Greene either. I wasn't really getting Graham Greene vibes. But really cool experience and really nice room as well. Very sort of old school, old school Saigon tourist hotel. These cafe and cars are giving me Monte Carlo vibes. I've never been to Monte Carlo, but I'll take your word for it.
Em lúc nào á em không kê, em không đăng ký nhưng mà lúc nào cũng có mặt. Không, em ra ngoài em gặp mọi người sao? Bây giờ ra trước 2 ngày hả? Tối đó báo để đăng ký nè. Tối đó có một báo em nhập đó.
Okay, this is a good question from Nathan. Is each district renowned for a specific thing? Probably back in the old days it probably was. And even down to street level it was probably, you know, like in Hanoi, if you go to the old town in Hanoi, what do you call it? Yeah, the old town in Hanoi, the streets are actually named after the product that they actually sell along that street. So there's like Metal Street, I don't know, whatever other products that are sold, Cooking Street and all that sort of thing. In Saigon, District 1 is... District 1's the centre of the city these days. So all of your sort of major historic buildings you'll find in District 1. District 3 is probably more traditionally what you might call I don't know, for want of a better expression, the embassy sort of district, the old school sort of embassy district. So it's in the centre of town as well, and a lot of tree-lined streets and stuff like that. District 5 is Chinatown, so when I say Chinatown, I don't mean it like a Western style of Chinatown, you know, when you'll go to a Western country or a Western city and there'll be a street with a couple of Chinese gates and then Chinese restaurants. This is actually a living, working... Actually, okay, I'm going to get into a little bit of history, and I'll try and keep it sweet, short and sweet, but where Chinatown is today, where District 5 is today, is typically known as Jolun, and Je is market, and Lun is big. So it was home to this big market, and there still is a big market there today. It's called Bintay Market, but sometime during, I'm not sure if it was before the end of the war, I'm not sure what's going on behind me, before the end of the war or just after the war, the two cities were joined together. So these days, districts like District 5, District 6, District 10, I'm not sure if there's another one, they make up Chinatown, and so It's like a different city within this city. Oh, Mel's, hang on a minute, we're just going to move the table. District 2 has just had a name change. They've incorporated that into what's called Duduk City, and District 2 is more like an expat enclave with lots of restaurants and stuff like that. And it's grown over the last 5 to 10 years and has become... I'm going to have to sit a bit closer because the car club's getting a bit excited behind me, I think. So District 2, more of an expat area with a lot of Western restaurants and bars and stuff like that. District 7, where I live, is considered more of a Chinatown. And also, sorry, not a Chinatown, Koreatown. So there's a lot of Korean expats that live there, a lot of Korean restaurants, but also a few Western expats as well, but not so many compared to District 2. And then probably my favourite district, District 4, just over the river, just down the street here, not too far away. Up until recently, it was home to the Saigon port, so all the port activity used to go on there, and has a very colourful history, as most ports around the world have. So, very interesting district, and it's a really good question, Nathan, because actually the districts all differ in a certain way. They each have their own little quirk. I'm having a chip. He's okay. He's okay. But Nathan, I think if you came to Saigon, 3 nights would do you, probably. You would cover just about everything. Saigon doesn't really have, your sort of big ticket attractions. It's not Bangkok, it's not Tokyo. What other Asian cities have sort of a lot of things to do and see? It's not really a city like that. It's for tourists. It's good to come for a few days, and also to get a feel of the difference between Hanoi and Saigon, for example. So I always try to tell my friends, if they're coming to Vietnam, to make sure they experience both, because they're almost like different countries. The language is different as well, the food's different, the cities are different, and they're both really interesting in their own way. Okay, Mel says, as a tourist, 2 nights is enough. It probably also depends on where you're flying in from as well. If you're from Australia, if you're coming from Australia, it's only, depending on where, it's only an 8 or 9 hour flight, so it's not too bad. You can pretty much hit the ground running when you get here. But if you're coming from the other side of the world, I imagine that you would need that extra day, probably that extra night in bed. So, and also it depends on the time of year as well. If you're coming at this time of year, which is the hottest time of year in Saigon, you're going to miss big parts of the day because you're going to want to get out of the heat. You're probably going to want to have an afternoon nap, which I highly recommend. Get up early in the mornings, get back to your hotel around lunchtime or a bit after, once you've had your lunch somewhere. have a bit of a nap or hit the pool, and then come out when all the locals come out, sort of 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's very much a nighttime city. Rabbit. I don't think I can stay in Saigon more than 20 years. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm getting there. I think I'm into my 16th now, believe it or not. But I think that's sort of testament to once you get used to the culture. I speak a little bit of Vietnamese now, so that kind of makes me feel a bit more connected. And you get used to the bureaucratic, well, you don't really get used to the bureaucratic stuff that you need to do. Like, for example, I'm renewing my license. So that's a little bit of a frustration for me. But to be honest, I've been more frustrated at the Australian end because I'm renewing my Australian license. So, but it's sort of testament to once you get used to the culture, once you find the things that you like to do and the places you like to be and stuff like that, the time ticks over. So yeah, it's come very quickly. Bees. Oh wow, a few days. I'd have thought you'd need a week or two. Well, yeah, it depends on what kind of person you are, you know, like, and it might also depend on at what stage of your trip you're at. If you've started your journey in Hanoi and come all the way down south, you might, and spend 2 weeks or something in the country, you might be kind of fed up with everything at that point, you know, so you might want to get out. And Saigon has a bit of a reputation for being a place that people either fly into and get out of, or just fly out of altogether, unfortunately. And so people only see it for 2 or 3 days and only get that real surface kind of feeling for the city. But if you're a person who is like me, I like to really just chat to people, go and find food that's off the beaten trail a little bit. I'm fortunate in that I've got a motorbike, so I get around on the motorbike. And that sort of floats my boat these days. That's the sort of thing that I like to do rather than, you know, having to tick off boxes and stuff like that. So, yeah, it depends on who you are and how much time you've got and how much money you've got, I suppose, as well. And who you're with. There's a lot of factors, isn't there? Bees, I take it you just get used to the noise and chaos. You don't get used to the noise. I don't think you do. For example, we were sitting here earlier and it had just started to rain, and so what happens is, obviously when the rain comes, we get a little bit of water on the road, and then the oil sits on top of it, and a young lady came off her motorbike just in front of us, and it made the biggest racket, you know, like I nearly jumped out of my seat. Because I also know that sound as well. There's this unique sound of motorbike metal and plastic on the asphalt. But I think in terms of getting used to the noise, I think you just get into a place where you expect it and you sort of take measures to try and get away from it. But if you're in District 1 and District 3, well, most districts to be honest, it's going to be noisy. But having said that, a lot of the old French colonial style buildings, a lot of the old alleyways are really good buffers against the noise. So you'll be very surprised at how quiet places can actually be. But on the street, I don't know what it sounds like here at the moment, but I've got the group of guys beside me and a lot of traffic going on as well. So I can barely hear myself think at the moment. Rabbit, just talking to BBs. Stephen Orr, 6 hours from Perth. Love the direct flight. Yeah, not too bad from Perth. How about that? Yeah, you guys are lucky over there. You have a lot of great short direct flights from Australia. I'm from the East Coast, so you know, traditionally it's a fairly long flight, longish flight for us. I mean, you know, 8 or 9 hours. It's very doable. You know, but 6 hours, amazing. What is it from Bali to Bali? Must be only about 3. And by the way, Stephen, who won the Derby today? Or is it the Derby? Which one do you call it? Bees. I'm at an age now that I'm looking for peace and quiet. I think I can guess how old you are, but I still love to visit cities for a short time. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of places where you can escape the noise and the calamity of this city, of course. So, anyway, when you start planning your trip here, let me know, and I'll try and find some nice quiet places for you. Okay, Nathan, this is a really good question. Is it easy to ride a bicycle in Saigon, or is it easier to walk? Well, in terms of bikes, there are those sort of rental bicycles around. The only trick with those is, and I haven't used them because I believe that you need to have a Vietnamese app and you need to be able to pay money into that app. There's a lot of these bike stations all around the city, and a mate of mine from Nha Trang, he was here a couple of weeks ago and he quite enjoyed it. I think did he fall off a couple of times? But if you're new to the city, I probably wouldn't stress yourself riding a bicycle around here. I would walk, and then make sure you've got your Grab, you know, the Grab app, the Grab hailing app. Make sure you've got that downloaded on your phone, and then you know, you might want to walk through the alleyways in Saigon somewhere, and then once you get to the end of it, get yourself a motorbike or a car back to your hotel. It's very cheap as well. So I don't know if you're familiar, Nathan, with Grab. It's like Uber, you know. Before the pandemic, we had Uber and Grab. They came here around about the same time, and Grab took them over or something like that. Ran them out of town, I don't know. But we've got Grab. We've also got another one. It's just here. It's called Sun SM. There's one just here, that blue one, just there. It's called San, X-A-N-H. It means blue in Vietnamese. And I think you can download an app for that as well. I've never actually used them, but they're electric. Yeah, they're all electric cars, and they're made by VinFast, which is the local car company. Super quiet. Actually, I've been in one. I have been in them, and they're super quiet, and they're everywhere. And you may have just seen a motorbike go by as well, which is the same colour. So you can get the motorbikes and the cars. So I'll find a link for them as well, just in case you want to try them out. Sun SM, Sun, which is green or blue. The word for blue in Vietnamese is quite... there are many different shades of blue, but typically sun refers to anything that's kind of blue or green. Rabbit, forget thinking about bicycle. Yeah, you might be right. Okay, Nathan, yep. I didn't see a lot of people riding, but that's how we get about in Melbourne. Yeah. Yeah, you might be better off walking. And then once you get tired, get one of these ride-hailing vehicles. And they're cheap. They're really cheap. Stephen, no idea who won the footy. Okay, no worries. Okay, Nathan, you've got a lot of good questions, a lot of relevant questions. Can Australians get international licenses? You can't use the international driver's permit. Australia isn't a signatory to the, whatever it is, the 1968 convention to, driving motorbikes. So I don't know what it is, but whatever the convention is, it includes being able to use an international driver's license in international driver's permit in Vietnam. The reason I can do it is because I have a particular type of visa here, and I also have an Australian motorcycle license. So in the first instance, nearly 15 years ago, I got my Australian license translated and then converted into a local license. And the process isn't too bad and all that sort of stuff. But if you're an Australian tourist, as far as I know, there's no legal way that you can ride a motorbike by yourself, which is really unfortunate because it's such a big part of the culture here. So if you've got dual citizenship, if you've got, I think the Brits can do it. Yeah. But having said that, there are people who still drive around without licenses. I just have a particular thing about it. For me, I don't care what anyone else really does. But I'm always thinking about what happens if I have an accident. What happens if I hit somebody? What happens if I kill somebody? That's just the way I'm wired, so I always make sure I've got my license, and I'm actually going through the process of it at the moment, transferring it up, renewing my Australian license, and then in the coming weeks renewing my Vietnamese license. Okay, Nathan, yeah, you've got the Grab app. Okay, cool. Well, you'll be all set, Nathan, for that. Bees, what did you check out? Bees, I'm not too sure what you're referring to in that one. Rabbit, I don't risk it. My brain is wired from driving on the left for 30 years. Yeah, I don't drive a car here. I don't really know how I'd go driving on the right and using, what is it? Sitting on the left-hand side of the car and, yeah, using everything back to front. I'm not sure how it'd go. Bees, does Mel ride a bike also? No, but she sits on the back with me. Yeah. Do you ride a bicycle, Mel? Actually, she's not really that into bicycles either. She's not much of a rider. Bees, if I could rent a bike legally, so sorry, Bees, are you Scottish? So, yeah. I think the Brits, Scottish, yeah. I think you may be able to. Maybe you can. I'll put a link when I get back. Tomorrow morning. I'll find some useful information. if I can, if possible, about which countries are signatories to this particular painful convention that was written up and signed more than 50 years ago, nearly 60 years ago. Actually, there's a few quirks with the Aussies here that we have to get a visa. Like for travellers, we have to get a visa. There's no visa exemption unless you go to Fuwok. I believe that you can get a 30-day visa without having to get a visa. So, the Aussies have got some weird restrictions compared to others. Rabbit, you must be 100% legal for insurance to pay if you get hurt. Yeah, that's right. So that's what I worry about all the time. No drink driving. If I think I'm gonna drink, I don't. Yeah, I'm drinking a Coke today. But if I think I'm gonna have a drink, I'll either park the motorbike somewhere safe, like one of these hotels over here, and leave it there for the night, or just grab it. It's too easy and cheap to grab these days. Might have to get my glasses on, it's getting dark. Someone says definitely. Thanks for your comment. Sorry, I don't read Chinese. Yeah, it looks really nice at the moment, doesn't it?
Qua thà rồi mà lúc đó mình kẹt ốc mình cái đập dương này lên cái đó mà
Okay, bees. Sorry. I was just going to put my regular glasses on, but I realised that I'm short-sighted, so if I put my glasses on, I can't read the comments, so that's why I've got the shades on. Funny, I know, but anyway. Bees, I think it would be lovely to have a bike to visit the countryside. Oh yeah, it's amazing, man. I think I mentioned earlier that I love the Mekong. I love getting down into the Mekong, and getting down there on a motorbike is the best way to do it. And I'm planning on doing a trip. I think I've mentioned it before. I'm planning on doing a trip maybe in June. I'm pretty keen to get down to the Mekong again, and I'm going to go to a number of little towns. One is Javin, another one is Sopchang, and another one is Baknu. Now, those places are in the heart of Khmer or Khmer, I think they call it. Khmer, I call it Khmer. Sort of Khmer heartland in Vietnam, where there's a lot of people with Khmer heritage who live down there. There's a lot of sort of Khmer temples and stuff like that. So I'm very keen to get down there and see those. And one of the biggest Buddha statues is down in Sopjang, I believe. And Bac Lieu is a sort of a French outpost that I'm pretty keen to see. There's still French colonial era buildings there, so I'm quite keen to get down there. I've never been to Bac Lieu before, and not too far from there is Cà Mau, which is the southernmost point of Vietnam. So I'm thinking about doing that and going down and eating some crab. So when I do that, I'm planning on doing it for about a week. And I think I might do a live every day so I can explain what happened and what were the good things, what were the negative things, what difficulties I had and stuff like that, and what I encountered. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, maybe, sorry, I don't know your name with the Chinese characters. Maybe bike is just okay, no need rent motorbike. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to ride a bicycle around Saigon, you can do it. But you're gonna probably have more interaction with the locals if you do that. It's much easier. You don't have to worry about the bike. And as I mentioned earlier, once you get tired, if you happen to walk a fair way, you can grab a grab bike or a grab car or a Sun SM that I mentioned just earlier. John Nugent, hi John. Is there private ownership of property in Vietnam? Well, for foreigners, we're not allowed to own land, but we can purchase apartments. I believe we can purchase houses as well, but the land that it's on doesn't come in that deal. Yeah, so it's pretty much the same as everywhere else, that it's this, there's a housing market, and yeah, there are foreigners here that own apartments, but it'll be a stretch to find a foreigner owning a house. I don't think you'll find one. But in terms of the Vietnamese, yeah, they do. That a lot of people own their own property. So it's not as restrictive as you might have heard about Vietnam and stuff like that. Nathan, has Vietnam become a major manufacturer in the last? Yes. Probably even longer than 5 years. I think it's been in the last decade or so that Vietnam's become quite a major manufacturer. There's a lot of factories just outside of Saigon here, in the Binh Nhung. It's called Binh Nhung, and there's a lot of factories there producing things like textiles, medicines, whatever else. And also up north outside of Hanoi, there are things like the Samsung factory. A lot of the international tech brands are here. So they make, what do you call them? Whatever you call the little boards, that sort of stuff. But it's a country that's big into clothing manufacturing, shoes, what else? Seafood. Bees. Yes, that would be great. Lovely to get a glimpse of different places also. Yeah.
qua cái máy chỉ cái máy nó không biết ăn đâu qua cái máy là phải rồi bé nó cho cái máy cái máy đó chứ không phải những bạn thì mình máy nó năm mà mình không thể dùng máy cái mới nó còn cái ngoài.
John, actually, I was wondering, do the local farmers own their lands? Oh, I think a lot do, but typically farming land here is very small. You know, people might only own enough to grow a few trees, or, you know, I don't know, maybe 1 hectare or something like that. You know, not like broadacre farming that you'll see in countries like Australia, you know. So they may also rent that land from somebody who owns that land, you know. So might be sort of a share farming sort of situation as well. But you know, typically a lot of farms are very small, and you know, they're all part of the commune, I guess you would say. And yeah, it's not like what we have back home. I came from a dairy farm in Australia, actually, and you know, our farm was a lot bigger than some of the other farmers. Most farms, all farms probably here, you know, but yeah, they do. Yeah, someone says it seems they can own land, but ownership may belong to the state. Yeah, that's pretty right. And basically, it's a long-term lease, and I think I'm not aware of. I don't own property or anything like that, and I'm not into the property game or anything, unfortunately. But yeah, they are leases, and so at any time, you know, I guess that land can be taken off them. But the only time I really hear about that at the moment is for major projects. For example, there's a new airport being built, so there's going to be a new, I guess, Saigon, what's called Longtan International Airport outside of town. And you know, about 5 or however many years ago, the government had to reclaim that land, so they offered whatever packages for the local community to move to another area. Here we go, Mel. Here's a question for Mel. Do you plan to stay in Vietnam, or do you both think you'll go live somewhere else in the future? Well, first things first, we're starting to get old. That's a consideration. And apologies for the sunglasses. I need them on so I can read. And I'm buying time with this question. For me, personally, there's only really 3 options at this stage in my life. I love the Philippines. Mel's, you can probably see her in my glasses here. She's rolling her eyes. I have a little fantasy that I would someday end up living under a coconut tree in a little hut or something in a beautiful part of the Philippines, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially judging by Mel's reaction. And the other one is back home to Australia, and at some point I want Mel to have Australian citizenship. We haven't got that organised yet, so really at the moment the only direction it's pointing is in Australia. If if I was to ever leave Vietnam, I would still like to have a connection in some way. Sorry, there's motorbikes already close. I would still like to be able to come back and forth regularly to Vietnam. I don't want to get up one day after 20 whatever years and just walk away and go, okay, that was Vietnam. And also, I don't really want to learn another culture, and I'm pretty matter of fact about that. I don't really have the energy to put into learning another culture, to be honest, and to attempt another language. I lived in Japan for 3 years in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I studied Japanese at university, actually, and spent a lot of time trying to understand that culture and language. And 25 years on, I don't even use my Japanese. So yeah, I think if there was any stop, the next stop would be Australia, and then coming back and forth. And also to the Philippines as well, to visit family there. I love the Philippines. It's an amazing place to travel, great food, and people are wonderful. Nathan, okay, is there any places around Ho Chi Minh City that have a heap of street art and graffiti? Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of tagging going on. You'll find a lot of really shitty tagging. But my short answer to that would be no. There is a little bit of street art going on, but if you're in town for a short time, it probably wouldn't be worth going to try and find it. It's not like Melbourne at all. It's not like that at all. Actually, when I first came here to live, there were no tags as well. There was no tagging. There was no graffiti at all. But in the past 5 to 10 years, we've seen an explosion of it, and it's everywhere. I don't know what can be done about it. Yeah, so sorry about that, Nathan. There are some well-known art galleries and stuff like that if you're into the art scene. Let me know. I can probably drop some links in the description for well-known artists and galleries in Saigon. Oh. Maxwell Smart's about to leave. Rabbit, the street art is more real art in the street of countryside murals. Actually, Rabbit, you just reminded me that something Nathan might be interested in is a lot of the sort of what you might call the propaganda art that's around town on the billboards that's put up by the government. So from things like, don't drink and drive to don't do drugs to, do your bit for the country and all that sort of stuff. There's still a lot of that sort of maybe what you would call propaganda art, the old style sort of stuff. That's still really cool. There's lots of that around, but it's not really the art you're probably looking for. I've heard A3 Station there is a bit. As far as I know, are you referring to the old 3A station that was on Tong Duk Tung Street? Because from memory, it was called 3A station down there, and it hasn't existed for a long time, unless there's a 3A station somewhere else in the city. But the one I'm thinking of which isn't, the area isn't too far from here. It closed down a long, long time ago. Nathan, yeah, if you could pin a few. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow morning, my time. I'll find a few places for you to check out. And I've actually got a very good friend who's an artist, and he has a small studio not too far from here as well, actually. And in his past life, he was a bartender, or he still does it. And he's at the front of his little place. He's got his gallery, so you can check out his artwork. He sketches cityscapes, and he's been doing that for about 15 years. And then he has a little secret doorway into his speakeasy, so he has a fully equipped bar at the back, and it's really beautiful. So yeah, I'll definitely link his and a couple of other galleries around town. Sorry, I'm just having a chip and a drink. So it's just about what? It's about 6, getting towards 6:30. So I've got a few more minutes, and then it's time to go and have something to eat. So if you've got any more questions, let me know. And if you think of any, drop them in the comments section. Bees. I saw that there are a lot of speakeasy places, Matt. Why is that? Yeah, there are lots, and it kind of exploded before COVID. I think it's a combination of things, a generation of kids coming through who are interested in it. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a trend. Speakeasies have been a bit of a trend, you know, with the double-breasted suit and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Sort of dark little high-end sorts of places. I think, yeah, sort of little bit of Peaky Blinder stuff, but definitely more sort of that Prohibition era kind of look. I think it's a combination of things. The generation coming up, they've been exposed to social media. Also, the GDP of the country's gone up, so people have a little bit more money to spend on things like this. And so more foreign alcohol brands have come into the country, and you know, they invest a fair bit in trying to get people to go to their bars and stuff like that. So I think it's a bunch of things. There's quite a big community here now as well, so which is really good. Actually, Saigon, it's a really good question, Bees, because Saigon is a fantastic place to go out if you're into bars, and it doesn't matter what kind of bar you like. Now, we used to try and go out a little bit in Manila, but the problem with Manila is traffic, and the bars are all spread out around town in different parts of the city. It's an absolute nightmare. Whereas in Saigon, you can do it all on foot. There's I don't know, if we did a search on Google Maps now, we'd probably find a bunch of little bars around here. Mel and I could probably go to 5 to 9 really comfortably on foot. So, yeah. We might go and do that now, actually. Yeah. Nathan, thanks heaps for your time, man, and Mel. You guys rock and love what you're doing. Cheers. Thank you, Nathan, for joining. And thanks for your questions. I usually do it every Sunday. So when I put the little, what do you call it? The little post up on notes. If you've got any questions in advance, put them in there, and I can have a think about it as well. John, seen what I look like? Yeah, what looked like an MG. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was an MG. Any other European vintage cars there? I have a 1959 Ford Anglia. There was earlier today. I'm not really well versed on cars, but there was a Spitfire. Is that right? A Triumph Spitfire earlier, and this is a. I don't know if you can see it. Can I show them? BW. Pop top. There we go. But this spot here, typically on a weekend, especially on a Sunday, and the guys in the background here, they're part of a vintage car club, and often they park their cars here out the front. And we were hoping that today they were going to be parked here, but they're on a run somewhere. They've gone somewhere else for the weekend. All right, guys. Well, it's It's about 6:30, and all that talk about bars has made me want to go to one. So we might go and have a drink, and then maybe have something to eat. And oh no, I can't drink. I'm driving. That's right. Okay. Mel can have a drink. All right. Thanks heaps for joining. Lots of great questions again, and I'll definitely see you again next Sunday. I think the 5 o'clock time slot seems to work pretty well, and I think it works well for me and Mel as well, so I might stick to the 5 o'clock one on a regular basis from now on. Alright, cheers, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bees. See you next week. See you, Rabbit. Cheers. See you next week.